and welcome to Arts at a Distance. My name is Miss Noelle. I am the Arts Education Consultant with the Merced County Office of Ed, and we are so excited to have you here today on Wednesday. Wednesday is what we call What in the World Wednesday, where we deal with the newest of the arts disciplines that have come out in the state of California, and that is media art. Now, it's a common misconception that in order to be able to participate in media art or gain the skills, the skill set in total that it takes to be able to perform a career or a task using media art, that you somehow have to have a computer. And that is not something I'm interested in. Is that mythology? Kick that out the door. I like to do things with a good old-fashioned pen and paper and markers and things like that. And we can still, using those tools that hopefully we all have around our house, build on the skill sets involved in media art as a discipline and as something that's gradable in the state of California. So let's work on that now together, and then we will showcase some skills at the end, okay? First things first, we're gonna gather our materials. I want you to gather at least 4 pieces of paper, right? Just regular paper. Construction paper in this case will do fine for one of them, but I'm really looking for 3 of them to be as flexible as possible and as neutral as possible. My final piece actually involves yellow Post-it notes, and that's because they're super duper thin, right? So the yellow color is not a problem, but they need to be really, really thin. So no construction paper for these, and nothing with too much print on them. I guess maybe some print, but not too much. 3 of them you're gonna set aside. The other one you're gonna keep for our warm-up, right? Which you're gonna do right now. I also want you to grab anything you want to draw or make with. That means pencils, and that means markers if you want them. We can do with any of those that we want to use. And for our final project, we are going to use some tape as well. My handy dandy duct tape is always here with me, as we know, and this tape is going to prove to help us make our project at the end. Now, the project can be made without adhesive. This is not something you should use glue for at this point, but if you want to use nothing, we can just fold it to make it work, okay? So that'll be fine. The other thing you can grab if you want is a pair of scissors. Now, depending on how old you are, definitely ask your grown-up if you can use these or get them to help you use them. You also do not need them to complete the project. So it's up to you if you want to have them. If you like it looking super duper smooth, that's one thing. I like to rip and tear, so I didn't even use them on my final project. Okay, so whichever one of your papers is the dirtiest or the most folded, for me, it's this one. Look at this ickiness. Ew, it's already like it got stepped on a little bit. Perfect, it's perfect for our warm-up, right? So what we're gonna do is we are gonna start out and warm up by making characters out of shapes. Isn't this funny? This is a strange thing to do. So first and foremost, I want you, out of your mind, to take just a couple seconds and draw a person only using curved lines, okay? Specifically, circles and ovals. That's all you get to use. Circles and ovals, nothing else. No lines that don't connect, just circles and ovals, whatever that means to you. Doesn't have to look like mine, just has to be what your version of a person is using circles and ovals. Are you ready? Just a couple seconds. Ready? And go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bam. That is what I did. I'll tell you what, this person made entirely of circles and ovals is significantly better than I would normally draw a person if I was just trying to draw them based on seeing them, right? Which tells me something about the way my mind works when I see something and process that versus the way it actually is. I really like that. And just letting my mind go, and instead of forcing it to look a certain way, letting it happen, That really worked for me. I appreciate that. We're gonna do one more warm-up exercise where we turn it over and we're gonna use the other side of our paper. Again, this is just about freeing your mind, so don't worry if it looks a certain way or doesn't look a certain way. It's all about what you think. We're gonna draw a person again, but this time we're gonna draw a person only using triangles, right? There you go, like that. A triangle is any three-sided shape that has like a point on all of those, the points of this. So it's 3 sides and 3 points, right? I'm not asking for isosceles triangles that are even. I'm not asking for any kind of specificity, any triangles that you want. And that's the only thing you can use to make up a person, okay? Are you ready? And go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that's what I got out of that one. I think that's very interesting because my brain was running through whether or not I wanted to make 2 triangles for the face and the body or just 1. And I could not wrap my head around the idea of them not being even on both sides the way a face is. So I forced myself to do 2. And again, that tells me something about my brain and the way that my brain works. So I'm really glad we went through this exercise. Now we've done it with circles and ovals. We've done it with triangles. And hopefully we're understanding the idea of shape and how shape contributes to character. And more than that, what we're doing is just opening up our brains and preparing for that rapid fire, no holds barred, no judgment approach, because I am not interested in judging you or grading you for any of these things. I just want to see what you create. Okay, now we're going to start making our book. And our book is going to look like this. We're going to take 3 of these pages. I accidentally had 4, but we're going to take 3. We're going to put them all together like this, and then we are going to fold them in half, okay? And we're going to try to make this as even as humanly possible, because actually the evenness makes this particular project easier to do. The more even it is, the easier this will be. After you've got one fold there, you are also going to fold the other way so that this folded part is the thing that is folding over. And you've got a quarter of a page that is 3 pages deep, right? Just like that. That's pretty even. It could definitely be more even, but that's okay. So I want you to look at the corner that is open. 2 corners are attached by one side, 1 corner is attached by 2 sides, and 1 corner is entirely open. We want that open corner to be as even as possible. Mine isn't great, but we want to keep trying. That's okay. And then you'll see that there's a short side and a long side. I want you to take that long side, and this is the part that we are going to cut, is that long side, or you might want to cut. What Miss Noelle is doing is ripping. I rip things. We are going to rip that right up there, and we're actually going to leave a little bit of it at the top, okay? That is going to stay. Maybe we'll rip a little bit more, kind of like that, so that when we fold it over, we've got now an entirely free bottom of our little booklet, right? That's what we want. And then this is the part where we could just leave this. This could just be totally fine. But what I like to do is secure it at the top with a piece of that duct tape, okay? Doesn't have to be even. As you can see, my back side is kind of wonky, but my front is relatively even at the top. And what I've done is create this book so that it can be flipped at the bottom. Because what we're doing is we're making a good old-fashioned flip book, animation style, right? And that is so much fun. I want you to ask your grown-ups how they might have grown up doing this in textbooks that they weren't supposed to be writing in, or other books, novels that they were reading. I remember doing this in the corners of tons and tons of books when I was growing up, because 1, sometimes doodling helps you remember things better, And two, sometimes you are just bored in class, or you're bored outside of class, or you're interested in watching things move, which is in and of itself totally fine. So instead of ruining a book, we're gonna make ourselves a book, right? We're learning from our past mistakes. And we are going to create a character on here, which we then can flip through and watch the character move, okay? So now that we've got our book created, we're gonna start working on our character. And our character can be anything. What I have done in my one that is complete is I have used the idea of I'm sure, I don't know if you can even see it, a bent over human right there. Woo, woo, woo. Oh, this light, that bent over human, that human that is entirely bent over. And that is how that's how my character is starting out. On this particular one, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start out with a character that is just a circle. Just a circle. And then the thing is that on the next page, it's going to move only a little bit. So what my circle is going to do is crunch inward. Almost like it's now a potato. Circle to potato. Kind of fluctuating. After that, it's going to return back to a circle. Now we're going to stretch out the process. I'm going to do a little bit of a crunched circle, again, like I did before. And then on the next page, I am going to do a very crunched circle. So the crunch gets deeper. So it goes from something like this to something like that. So now, automatically, with a character which the only characteristic or aspect of it is that it is a round circle. Suddenly that character, I wish this one flipped a little better. Suddenly this character goes crunch in and then goes fluctuate back out and then goes crunch in and then goes crunch in a little bit more, right? So this character is going on a journey where it goes from open, whoosh, back open, then whoosh, whoosh. And then what it's gonna do on that, after that final one, is it's gonna return to the state right before it where it's a little bit crunched, and then it's gonna open back wide again. And then it's gonna go back to a circle. Very nice. So, there's a couple of things here that I can't control. One of them is how well this actually flips to go nice and fast. Kind of like that. This is, whoops, see, I can see it if I do it like that, but it's hard to be able to show you guys. But that's why it is so important that it be even on the bottom. If you can see with this one that I made, you may be able to see it right there in the corner. What I do is I start with that little guy, whoop, and then he slowly goes through a series of movements. Whoop. And they're hard to see because they're so small, but he eventually jumps all the way off the page. So the key is that you can't go from one big movement to another big movement. There's got to be ample space in between to hit every part of that. When we, as a character, go from big to small, we don't just hit those 2 points. We go from here to here to here and then to here, which is why I'm going to go to those 3 middle, or some of the middle parts of my flip book. My circle doesn't go straight to being super crunched. It goes to a little bit crunched, then super crunched, and then goes back to a little bit crunched, and then back to a circle. So if you were to flip that really quickly, it would look like you were going from in, hoo, 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 hoo. Those are the whole 5 steps that we're hitting, okay? So my challenge to you is to make this as even as possible. Like I said, maybe it's about, after you've created it, slicing it really, really even. That will help you. Or if you find something thinner, something like this, that will work too. As the thinner that the paper is, the easier, and the more even it is, the easier it's gonna be to flip. And I challenge you to make some homemade animation the way that we used to do in the old days. You're gonna be working on character and drawing. You're gonna be working on animation, like we said, and hitting those various points. And your brain's gonna be working on storytelling as well. And I'm already proud of you. Thank you so much. That's actually my timer, and that means that it's time to go. There's 3 things that we need you to do, okay, for the rest of the day. Stay safe, be happy, and make art. See you later.